Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be checking out the latest release from FairRC, which is the HobbyPlus CR18P Arktos 6x6. Now you might be thinking to yourself, hey, that doesn't look like the truck I see in the advertisements. Well, that's because I've already done a slew of upgrades and modifications to it. When I took it out of the box, I crawled it, and I immediately realized how capable this truck was. So I just began throwing all sorts of modifications and upgrades to it, and man, let me tell you, this truck is insanely fun and insanely capable. So for this video, we're going to do a deep dive of everything I've done to it. I'll give you some tips, I'll give you some tricks, and then I'll put all the links to the products of everything that I designed or I had purchased and threw on this truck. Now, the first major upgrade that you're going to see right away is that I ended up getting rid of the flatbed to this truck. I actually bought the vehicle because of the flatbed and the recovery aspect to it. But again, I was watching YouTube and I was looking at the Dakar rally, and I saw the Dakar truck class running, and I was like, okay, that looks cool. It's going to look even cooler on this truck in the black and silver colorway. So I went ahead and designed a Dakar bed for this. This is my design. I have it on Called 3D, which will be in a link in the description box down below. It's got a roof scoop. I even printed off some custom vinyl stickers. And then I even have a spare tire mount in the rear, and what's really cool is that this only takes 4 screws to mount to your pre-existing bed. As for wheels and tires, I went with the Little Guy Racing Parts Torque Series wheels, which are going to be wrapped in the 64mm gripper tires. This wheel and tire combo has a lot of grip, a lot of bite, and a lot of side hill stability, especially after I inserted the Endura yellow inserts into this vehicle. And man, let me tell you, it is an absolute beast. Taking the truck and putting on its side so that way we can get a good view of the undercarriage of this vehicle, we're going to start to see a lot of metal parts. One of the absolute first upgrades I would do if you get this truck is to replace the stock plastic links with the high clearance aluminum links. The stock ones are very flimsy, and this is just something that's going to help get your portal axles out of the way of oncoming obstacles. So a definite must do in my opinion. The next upgrade I would also recommend doing is getting yourself some of the metal drive shafts. The plastic ones are okay. You can run them for what you want, but honestly, if you're going to be putting a brushless system in this, I would definitely recommend going up to the metal drive shafts. One upgrade that is not completely necessary, but I did anyways, is switch over to a aluminum skid plate. The plastic one did just fine, so if you're not too worried about switching it over and want to spend the extra 14 bucks, you can go ahead and leave the plastic one the way it is. Flipping the vehicle back over and taking off a wheel and tire, we can see some of the brass options I have added to this. I went ahead and ordered the HobbyPlus brass hexes. I spray painted those black just to keep the color theme going throughout the vehicle. I also ordered the RC all-wheel drive outer brass portal covers. I did not do the aluminum axle covers or axle housings, you could say, but that is something I'm looking to do in the future, and I didn't really think it was necessary to do at this time. The vehicle does come with brass bushings, but in my honest opinion, if you are going to be tinkering with this thing and taking it apart, it is well worth ordering yourself one of the shielded ball bearing kits from one of the different suppliers on the internet and go ahead and tossing those in. I tell you what, it made a heck of a difference in my personal opinion, and I really wouldn't have it any other way. Removing those 4 screws now exposes ourselves to the underside of our chassis, and you can see the simplicity that I tried to keep going throughout this with this build, especially since I did a brushless conversion. For the brushless conversion, the motor I'll be using is a Mofo RC BAM 2200 kV motor. It is going to be an outrunner. One thing I would recommend doing if you're going to be using an outrunner is to, again, spend some time in keeping those wires that are going to be running from your chassis to your cab out of the way so that way they don't rub. I would also recommend probably going with an in-runner motor. I believe that FairRC does offer one that will fit this truck, or I guess for the regular CR18P Rock Van Evos, but nonetheless, this is a cheap solution and it works perfectly fine. Probably one of the hardest parts about doing this brushless conversion was trying to get everything figured out and sorted as for lighting. What I ended up doing was keeping the original ESC for the truck and then adding in a FairRC Lizard light on top of it with my Spectrum SR315 receiver, so that way I can run all my necessary components off of my main transmitter. Then with the aftermarket receiver and ESC, I use that to power my steering servo and my transmission servo, and then also a couple of the other auxiliary lights that I have on here. It does seem weird to have two different receiver and transmitters, but it's a heck of a lot easier than trying to get everything plumbed in to an aftermarket receiver. Again, not completely necessary, but does add a little bit of flair, you could call it, to your vehicle. I threw on the Injora rock light kits. I believe these are the 1.4 millimeter kits for the SCX24, and man, are those things bright. There is a lot of wires, so I will say if you are trying to keep this neat, spend some time, use some zip ties, and you'll be thanking yourself in the long run. Continuing around to the vehicle, the next upgrade you will see is the Next Racing extended aluminum shocks. These are approximately 10 millimeters longer than the stock ones, and it is going to be a full body aluminum shock. The only issue I did have is that they needed to be bled upon arrival. You could definitely feel that there was an air gap inside this main chamber. So once I bled that, I took out some oil, added some oil back in, and made sure to get all of the air out of the shock and rethreaded the cap back on. It works absolutely perfect. Well, everyone, I think that's enough of this vehicle sitting here on the shelf. Let's take it outside and I'll show you some clips of it running.
Yeah, so that's what's that, T-Bolt? No, that's my T10. So yeah,
Well, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you have any comments or questions about this build, leave them in the comments down below and I'll get back to you. Also, in the description box, you'll find all the different upgrades that I did along with my custom files where you can purchase those in the description box. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll see y'all in the next one.